Wild like my daddy, but straightforward like my mama. Drank like granddad, smoke sluggies like the other. But granddad feels the guts. Hustler like my uncle JT, or cousin Big B. I got big dreams like Jimmy Lee, and my aim is just for any means. Keep a job like Uncle Kevin told me. Top notch player like Dave, and that caddy thing since the 80s. Slab, been corporate thug and political like Jack. Make it rest in peace, but I've been talking a lot. See, this hothead wasn't scared to get money nor leave the beef to see. Can't play me like I'm a pawn in the game. Chess, jokester like Big Kenny and Ski. G like Jarrell, Jeremy. Trigger happy, it's about my family. Alone like my granny. Lula, chuckling, giggling. Hunching my shoulders like my daddy's and the lead. Routed like them Tyson seeds. The spiritual like rewards. A go-getter like Arian. A religious, romantic career like no one, you know, ever. Hey, what's up, bro? Thanks for hopping on. Story like my bro, D-Bird. And cousin Ray, I can get aim like Bird. And free nasty like John and Gene. I can be man, it's respectful. Tattoo, a different breed. I can't wait till they get a load of me. Draped in luxury, memory and lessons from ancestral pillars, legacy family. We are unapologetic, pain with a went back mentality. We are unapologetic, pain with a went back mentality. I can't wait, to load me. I can't wait, to load me. I can't wait to load me. I can't wait till they get a load of me. Awesome. Hey champions, welcome to tonight's edition of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. It's yours truly, Arian Tyson. I am sitting in my office here in St. Louis, and it is a privilege and honor to be back before you tonight. I want to first off say happy Thanksgiving to everyone from my family to yours. I trust that if you're traveling or if you're staying home, that everything goes well, that it's peaceful, that you take this time to, enjoy one another, enjoy the dialogue, family, brotherhood, sisterhood, etc. And, just be safe. I was actually on my way home, and ironically, I actually saw not one, not two, but 6 car accidents within a span of an hour and a half. 6 car accidents. And I don't know if it's because you have these, I don't know if it was because of rush hour or because people are trying to do their last minute shopping or because people just don't know how to drive. But to see 6 car accidents tonight it was crazy. So I'm just glad to be able to be home, and I trust that, your day has gone well, and I'm just going to do what I do because it's normally my favorite time of the year, the fourth quarter, which is my favorite time of the year, but it's not a good time for everybody because the holiday season is upon us. But the holiday season is not a good time for everybody. And so I'm going to share with you something. And most of you have grown up hearing this. Something to the effect of don't quit and don't be a quitter and, winners never quit. I'm going to challenge that today. I'm going to challenge that. And I want to talk to you from this particular topic. Why don't you just quit? And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm actually going to share with you some things that you really need to quit doing, that you really need to let go of. And if you get value from this, feel free to share this on your Facebook walls. Feel free to just share this information with someone that you know that it could be of value to. Having said all of that, let's dive in. I want to be really honest and really transparent with you. Now, most of us grew up with this mantra of don't be a quitter, and we have internalized that to the very point
where we begin to feel guilty even if we don't finish a book that's boring to death. Our parents weren't entirely wrong in saying that persistence is necessary for success. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes quitting is the most effective course of action. Whether it's a failed project, a thankless job, or a doomed relationship, quitting can actually be a virtue. Nelson Mandela, God rest his soul, once said that quitting is leading to, I'm going to say it again. Nelson Mandela said it. Quitting is leading to. And as it turns out, some of us are really good at knowing when to quit, while others have a hard time getting unstuck because they have gotten to a point where they have developed a paralysis when they don't know when to make a move. And many times people don't know when to quit. And so with that, I've discovered that people are often motivated by a couple things. They're either motivated by approach goals or avoidance goals. What do I mean by that? Now, those who fall into the approach camp, normally they are motivated by challenges and don't waste time trying to solve problems that simply don't have a feasible solution. And in other words, they know when to quit. However, there are people that are actually motivated by avoidance goals, however, and they worry a lot more about failing. You ever heard of the term, the phrase fear of failure? They're afraid to fail, so they just avoid things at all costs. They want to avoid failure at all costs, so they keep plugging away at things long after logic suggests that it's time to move on. And this is typically a much less productive way to work. Now, knowing when to quit is a skill that can be learned. And if you tend to get stuck on things long after it's obvious that what you're doing isn't working, then you can train yourself to do better. You just need to practice quitting. I'm going to say it again, and I know it sounds crazy. You just need to practice quitting. Now, thankfully, life provides plenty of opportunities to do this. With that being said, I am going to share with you 8 things. 8. And it's more than 8. But for time's sake, I'm going to share with you 8 things that you need to quit doing. I'm going to share with you 8 things that you need to quit. First of all, you need to quit doubting yourself. And I'm going to repeat the 8 before I wrap up. So this is the first point. You need to quit doubting yourself. What am I saying? Confidence plays a huge role in success, in any type of success. And the reality of it is this. Sometimes confidence is all it takes to reach the next level. And the trick is you have to believe it. And if you doubt yourself, it won't work. Because the reality is that faking confidence just does not produce the same results. You have to quit doubting yourself. You have to believe in yourself. What is the purpose of someone believing in you when you don't believe in yourself? So you have to quit doubting yourself. That's point number 1. Point number 2. And this goes along with procrastination, but to make it more specific, to keep with the theme of what we're discussing tonight, you have to quit putting things off. You have to quit putting things off. That's the second point. Change is hard. I get it. I experienced a lot of change that I was not expecting to experience in 2016. Change is hard. Self-improvement is hard. And scrounging up the guts to go for what you want is hard. But it's not impossible. And neither is it not only is it not impossible, going for what you want is hard. And so is the work to make it happen. And when things are hard, it's always easier to decide to tackle them tomorrow. The problem is, tomorrow is not guaranteed to come. It's not guaranteed to come. And think about the holiday season. Think about this time where families are gathered together. But those that were with us last year, it's not a guarantee that they're with us now. And that's just the reality of it. And saying you'll do something tomorrow is just an excuse. And it means that either you don't really want to do it, or that you want the results without the hard work that comes along with it. You can't circumvent the process. You have to go through the process. So you have to quit putting things off, because tomorrow is not promised. All you really have is today. Point number 3. You have to quit thinking you have no choice. That's a huge one. You have to quit thinking that you have no choice. What do I mean by that? There is always a choice. Now, sure, sometimes it's a choice between things that seem equally bad. Sometimes it's a choice between the lesser of two evils, so to speak. But there's still a choice. Growing up, I heard it said like this: for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Decision or indecision is still a choice. And pretending that there is not a choice makes you a victim who is voluntarily taking on a mantle of helplessness. You got to be careful of that. And there's too many people that are trying to play the victim. But here's the caveat. To play the victim, you have to give up power. You have to give up your power. And you can't put a price on that. So to succeed at the highest level, ladies and gentlemen, you have to quit giving your power away. Whether you choose to hold on to your power, that's a choice. Whether you choose to give your power away, that's a choice. And you have to quit doing the latter. You have to quit thinking that you don't have a choice when in reality you do. I'm just giving it to you real. And in the process of doing this, a lot of times you give away your choices when you say yes to everything. Which leads me to the 4th point. Quit saying yes. Quit saying yes. And I'm laughing because I've been guilty of that at many points in my life. I've played that role, if I can be transparent. I played that role where I've been a yes person. On the flip side, I've actually been on the receiving end of someone who was a yes person. The problem with that is when you say yes to everything, you're not being real with yourself. You're not being honest with yourself. You're not really being authentic, because there are really times where you want to say no. And the problem is when we get to a place where we say yes to everything, we do that because we don't want to let people down. So with that, we have to understand this. With every yes you utter, every yes you give, Every yes you articulate, there's a trade-off. And by saying yes to one thing, think about it. By saying yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. Saying yes, for example, saying yes to staying late at work, for example, might mean saying no to going to the gym or spending time with your family. You got to be careful about that. And the more difficulty you have in saying no, and I'm speaking from personal experience when I say this, the more difficulty that you have in saying no, the more likely you are to experience stress, burnout, and even depression. And even in this time of the season, in this time of year, depression is at an all-time high. It's at an all-time high. I've never seen so many people depressed. And when I think of, those Christmas carols, it's the most wonderful time of the year. It's not a wonderful time for everybody. It's not. Because you really don't know what people are dealing with. You don't know what people are going through. So you have to understand that. And you have to be compassionate about it. You have to be. Because otherwise, if you're not careful, you might push too hard and you might get more than you bargained for. Because undoubtedly, when you begin to push and you keep pushing someone, soon enough, they're going to push back. And if you can't say amen, say ouch. So that's something that you really have to understand. So that's point number 4. Point number 5 is this. You have to quit being comfortable. That's a big one. Because there's too many people being comfortable. It's too many people that accept the status quo. There's too many people that are just fine doing what everybody else does. And that's not reality. That's not how we're supposed to be living. That's not how you get to the point where you live your best life. You got to be willing to quit being comfortable. And it's a doozy. It's difficult, but it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary. And in the process of getting to the point where you quit being comfortable, you realize that everything you want is outside of your comfort zone. Life begins the moment that your comfort zone ends. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. I've always heard it said like that. And it's true. Because we can make the mistake of believing that we're living, but we're merely existing. And for a long time, I thought I was living. But when you're a yes person, and I'm reformed when I can say that. I'm reformed when I say that. When you are a yes person, you're really not living. Truly, you're existing. And you have to be careful about that because the consequences can be disastrous. And going back to being a yes person, learn how to say no, because saying no is indeed a major challenge, but it's not impossible. And no is a powerful word that you should not be afraid to say, because when it's time to say no, avoid such phrases such as, I don't think I can, or I'm not certain. No, saying no to a new commitment honors your existing commitments and gives you the opportunity to successfully fulfill them. For example, right now, I was actually able to be a blessing to a friend of mine. Now, right now, there is a concert going on at this very moment. But because I am committed to doing this show at this particular time, each and every Tuesday, I bypassed the opportunity to go to that show. I decided to say no to something that in a previous version of myself, I would have said yes to. But I'm honoring my commitment to come before you each and every Tuesday and give everything I can, because I believe in providing value, because I don't know who it's going to touch. I don't know who it's going to impact. I don't know who it's going to be a blessing for. But in the process, the main thing that I have to do, first off, is show up. And many times people fail because they don't show up. So in the process of being committed, you have to learn when to make yourself available and get comfortable saying that you're not available, which leads me to the next point. Quit being so available. You can make more money, but it's hard to get back your time. Because once that time is gone, it's gone. Quit being so available. You have to get to a place, you have to get to a point where you break down things that are going on in your life into 4 categories. Not important, somewhat important, very important, and an emergency. I just mentioned that there's a concert going on. For me, it was not important, but it was very important for someone that I got love for. So I was able to be a blessing to them, and they're at the show right now. With a very good seat, I might add. That's a fact. But doing this show at this time for me is something that's very important to me. And it's been important for over a year now. That's why I come back each and every Tuesday at this same time. It's about priorities. And you have to get to a point where you realize that it's okay to say that you're not available, because you can't be 40 different places at one time. You can't. And that's okay, because through all the layers, through all the things that you go through, you're only human. You're human. And undoubtedly, there are going to be times where you're going to get sick, you're going to break down. But don't let that deter you. So you have to not make yourself so available to people, because when you're so available to people, they take you for granted. They take you for granted. And they look at you as a safety net. I'm speaking from personal experience. And if you're not careful, you can go through life living like that or operating like that, and you think that you're living, but you're existing. And the day that you come to the point where you realize that this is what you've been doing, it can make you very bitter. Because people don't treat you the way that you treat them. So it's a lesson to be learned in that. But you have to realize that you can't be available to everybody, because everybody is not deserving of your time. Everybody is not deserving of your energy. Everybody is not deserving of it. So you have to realize, and you have to determine what matters. what matters to you, what matters to your vision, what matters to your purpose. Does what you do, does what they want you to do or what they're asking you to do line up with your core values? And if you don't have core values, you need to get some as soon as possible. Just being real with you. Few more and then I'm done. 2 more, as a matter of fact, and I'm done. Another point is you have to quit being afraid to fail. Quit being afraid to fail. Failure is a beautiful thing. And really, the only way that you truly fail is to not even try. And I don't respect people that don't try. I don't. And you have to realize this. You have to understand that when you're afraid to fail, you limit yourself. You put limits on yourself. You begin to argue for your limitations. And you have to get to a point where now is the time to stop arguing for your limitations. You have to. Because you will get to the point where you will talk yourself out of something that is common sense because you're afraid to fail, because you're waiting on the perfect time to get started, when there's no such thing as a perfect time, because tomorrow is not promised, as I've said earlier. So you have to quit being afraid to fail, because when you get to a point where you do something and it doesn't turn out the way that you anticipate, you can be able to learn the lesson in it. And if you don't learn the lesson, then you limit yourself, and chances are it will happen the same way again. So you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be able to look in the mirror and realize the mistakes that you've made, the errors that you made, so that history doesn't repeat itself. And then finally, the biggest thing that you need to quit is quit thinking that you're not valuable. Quit thinking that you're not valuable. You are valuable. You have a purpose on your life. There are things and there are people that can benefit from what you bring to the table, that are assigned to you, that you can be a blessing to. Even as people tell me I'm a great speaker and so on and so forth, I'm not going to be able to reach everybody. And thankfully, I'm cool with that. But there are people that can resonate, that will resonate with you, will resonate with what you bring to the table, will resonate with your story and your testimony and the things that you've gone through. Someone that has been hurt can resonate with me. But if you never experienced hurt, you can't resonate with my story. Someone who does not have any children, they can resonate with me. But if you have a house full of children, you can't resonate with me. I can't resonate with you, only to a certain point, because I have dealt with children before. So with that, be comfortable in realizing that you're valuable, regardless to what has happened to you, regardless to the things that you've gone through, the experiences that you've gone through. Own all of it, because it has helped shape you into the awesome person that you are. You have a purpose on your life. There is no testimony, no true testimony without a test. You have to realize that. So be able to talk about the things that you've gone through that have benefited you positively, but also be willing to talk about the things that have provided a valuable lesson. Because everything that we go through in life causes two things to happen. They're either or blessings or they're lessons. So to recap, I share 8 things that you need to quit doing, that you actually need to quit doing. 8 things that you must quit. The first one was you need to quit doubting yourself. The second one was you need to quit putting things off. There are things that you know that you need to be handling right now. And because tomorrow is not promised, you need to quit putting them off. The third point was you need to quit thinking you have no choice. Do you realize that making a decision is a choice, but also making a decision to procrastinate or making a decision to be indecisive is also a choice. And with every choice that you make, there is a consequence to it. The fourth one was quit saying yes all the time. You can't say yes to everything. You can't be 40 different places at once. No matter how much time freedom you have, you can't. You cannot do it. Because you will spread yourself too thin. And then the productivity that you once had will become counterproductive. The fifth point was quit being comfortable, because life begins where your comfort zone ends, and you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Point number 6 was quit being so available, because when you make yourself too available, people take you for granted. The 7th point was quit being afraid to fail. There is nothing wrong with failing. There is something wrong with not trying. And people won't respect you when you refuse to try. You've already failed. If you fail, join the club. You're in great company. You've already failed. Why don't you learn how to fail forward? And then finally, quit thinking that you're not valuable. There are things that you go through that are unique to you. Unique to your story, unique to your testimony. And your testimony can help bless someone else. So own everything that you've gone through, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it's helped you become the champion that you are. It's helped you become the awesome individual that you are. So with that being said, I'm going to call this podcast a wrap. Thank you so much to everyone that has hopped on. I hope that it was of value to you. And if it was, feel free to let me know. Also, again, happy Thanksgiving to each and every last one of you, from my family to yours. And I just had a conversation today with my publisher. For those that don't know, for those that are new to this Facebook Live podcast, your boy is now an author. And so my first book will be released and ready next month. I found out that it's going to be print ready within the next week, and it will be dropping next month for certain, to close out 2017 and to go into 2018. So feel free, if you have not already done so, you can pre-order my book. It is entitled Love Me or Hate Me, My Journey from Motivation to Elevation. You can pre-order it at www.lovemeorhateme.org. And if you have not already done so, feel free to check out my website at www.motivation2elevation.com. Remember, in life, you have two choices. You can make moves or you can make excuses, but you most certainly cannot do both. It is yours truly, Arian Tyson, the Moving Motivator. Again, Don't be afraid to quit. Quitting is okay as long as you quit on the things that you need to quit, but never quit on the purpose that has been instilled in you, and don't quit on the people that you have been assigned to, because there are dire consequences that come with that. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back next Tuesday, same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, for another edition of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. Peace.